Hello and welcome to episode number 287 of the TEW Challenge Run. We're here for Raw, week 2, September 2022, and we are 13 days out from Unforgiven. We know, I think, 2 confirmed matches for the show so far, and those are the Fatal 4-Way main event for the World title and Bianca defending against Nova. I'm sure we're going to find out more tonight. And also tonight we have some big matches, a 6-man tag, The New Day against Edge, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. We have Nova and Bianca teaming against Scarlett and Julia of the Grand Jury, and a whole lot more. Plus, you know, the cliffhanger, let me try that again. The cliffhanger ending of last week's show, which saw Cody Rhodes get run down. Who by? We're going to have some detective work today, boys and girls. And, yeah. Without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. Cold open, you know, not even an introduction, not even, like, no pyro, just straight away. Maybe not even a then, now, forever thing, just we get an awkward look at Tyler Breeze's face. And he just sighs, like, ugh. Look, I knew this would happen as soon as I got here tonight, but, like, I wasn't even here last week. I wasn't scheduled for the show, so I decided to take the day off. I know, punish me for that instead. But because I did one thing a year ago, you will still look at me as the culprit here. I'm not the culprit here. Why would I attack Cody? I've got nothing against Cody. And Alexa's like, I mean, we'll get back to the whole, you know, you skipping out on scheduled work time thing. But he does have a point, you know. What would be the motivation behind Breeze running down Cody? And Dustin's like, I don't care what the motivation would be, you know. So someone needs to be put to justice for what they did to my brother. And if it's not this guy, then who is it? And Stephanie goes, well, we're looking to try and find out, you know. The future of Monday Night Raw is in jeopardy now because of what happened last week to Cody. And we're going to find answers. And it's going to take a lot of digging from, you know, Alexa and us. But we're going to get to the bottom of this, however long it takes. And Alexa's like, leave it to me. I consider myself, you know, a junior detective. Like, unlike Breeze, I'm an actual detective, you know. I even carry around my coffee and my notepad. And Stephanie's just like, just get on the case. And then everyone leaves apart from Alexa. She's like, sure, I'll get on the case. I'll find out who did it. Leave it to me. So, we have another murder mystery here. This time it's not about who attacked Xavier Woods. It's about who ran down Cody Rhodes at the end of last week's Raw. And of course, as is with any time anyone gets attacked mysteriously backstage, everyone just turns their eyes to Tyler Breeze like, you fucking bitch. Because of what he did last year. But, you know, it's not him this time. He wasn't even at Raw last week. 77 rated opening match. I guess that's okay. Could have been better, I guess. But Scarlett was really struggling, apparently. I don't know why. I think she's actually doing alright. Oh, and apparently there's a lack of psychology, but, you know, Nova and Bianca win this. They score the win. Nova gets the pin over Scarlett, Area 451, in 12:34. 82 for Nova, 86 for Bianca, 81 for Julia, and a 70 for Scarlett. Then after the match, Bianca and Nova are celebrating. They hold each other's hands up in the air, you know, they respect, they shake each other's hands, and they go, yeah, may the best woman win it Unforgiven. And Nova's like, yeah, let me. And then we see her in the background, like, grab like a kendo stick from the floor. And she's like, gets ready to swing it behind Bianca's back as Bianca's turned. Then as she goes to swing, Bianca turns around. But Nova keeps swinging anyway. But she twats Sonya Deville, who's trying to attack Bianca. She hits Sonya instead of Bianca, but she made it look like she was going to hit Bianca. And Bianca like, oh, I see that. And then Nova just sort of shrugs and laughs and goes, you know, maybe next time. Pats the title. And probably boops Bianca as well, because that's funny. And then leaves, and Bianca's in the ring like, girl, We then catch up with Alexa backstage. And she's flicking through her notes. She probably got glasses on at this point, you know. In proper, you know, detective gear, got a coat on. I do kind of want to have her, like, get into this because she does have personality, so it'd be a bit silly if I just played it straight the whole time. She's like, so, where were you at the scene of the crime, Mr. Regal? She's like, oh, you bloody fool. Why would I mean Cody are done with, you know? We had our issues going on, but trust me and my boys, if we were going to take down Cody, we'd have done it to his face. We don't resort to, you know, stupid tactics such as running him down in the parking lot. Or the car park. The matter is sacred to us, we are wrestlers, we wrestle. If you wanted to take down Cody, we did it in the ring. And Alexa, she keeps flicking through her notes, she's like, I didn't have that one written down. But you do make a compelling case, Mr. Regal. And he's like, I sure bloody well hope I do, considering I'm innocent. She's like, well, as far as I'm concerned, you're free to go, you know? He's like, well, that's bloody lovely of you, because Florence has a match coming up next. And I sure would like to be able to, you know, accompany my client to the ring and not be held back by some chicanery that I didn't even do and I wasn't a part of. But she's like, oh, one more thing before you go. Do you have any idea who did it? And he's like, you think if I knew who did it, I'd stand here and hide that information from you? I know there's a bloody big bonus in if I was to tell you the secrets. I don't know, Alexa. We don't concern ourselves with Cody anymore. We are done with Cody. It wasn't any of our business. Our business is with Finn Balor. And then he leaves, and Alexa's like, huh, you know. Maybe you've got to go a little bit deeper. It's not as cut and dry as it being an obvious person who's got an issue with Cody. Maybe there's more to this. Who knows what Cody's been scheming. We then cut to Gorilla. Liv's there. She's in her hood. Balor Club for life. She's approached by Sarah. And she's like, Liv, you know, what made you challenge Florence? And like, no, Florence hasn't lost. She hasn't been pinned here in WWE since her arrival. And she's like, I know she hasn't, Sarah, but, you know, I'm a former Raw Women's Champion. I've got that fiery spirit. They call me a Spitfire. They don't call me a Spitfire for nothing, Sarah. It's because I take the fight to anybody that wants to take the fight to me, you know. I often get looked at. They go, oh, Liv, you know, you got manipulated by the Balor Club to join their group. But the point is, they did care. You know, they cared about me, and then I grew a family in there. And for Ridge to betray that for the sake of Regal and his crew, obviously I'm going to try and get my revenge. And if you don't believe me, and she pulls her hood down, and she's got her blonde hair back out. She like, because obviously she has to tie it back because it's in a hood. She takes the hair out. She like messes around with it so it falls into position. And then she goes, watch me. Unfortunately for Liv, it's not quite enough. She gives it her all. She's her fiery babyface self. And Florence beats her in 10:45. Probably by pinfall, not with a submission. 61 for Florence, 73 for Liv. And yeah, Regal did some good work at ringside. So Liv's back to her babyface self, you know. The whole story with Liv going Balor Club, going crazy, was fun, but like, I feel like she's so much more natural as a babyface. That was only ever meant to be a short-term thing. And yeah, we're back to Liv now. But unfortunately her first match back as a face isn't a successful one because Florence stands in her way and they pick up the win. They being the Regal Coalition, I guess. Then after the match, Florence continues to assault Liv as the rest of the Regal Coalition watch along. When bang, Finn Balor comes out from the back. He's under a steel chair. Ridge chases him. He tries to swing at him with the club that he has. But then Balor meets him with the chair. The two weapons collide and go flying onto the floor. And now both men without weapons, you know, unarmed. Balor hits a sling blade on Ridge, takes him down. And he stares down Gunther in the ring. And Regal tries to tell Gunther to come out of the ring, but he just stands there, arms behind his back, like, come on, Finn, I'm ready for you. And then Finn gets into the ring and he goes face to face with Gunther. He stares him down. Gunther's still got his arms behind his back, just staring at him the way that only Gunther can. And Regal's like, come on, Gunther, come on. and they're two just... He doesn't budge. Regal, Dudley, Pete, they all leave. Florence, and I guess Liv gets to her feet, but doesn't get involved in the shot, because Finn and Gunther just stare each other down until eventually Gunther just walks past Finn and leaves with the rest of the Regal Coalition, as Finn, I guess, checks on Liv. Crypto Corbin, you know, he's having a grand old time. It's like, niece, what a week it's been for me, you know. Ever since I've been spotlighting my new business on here on Raw, you know, stocks are going up, you know, this is the best thing I've ever done. And surely everyone else will catch on at some point, but, you know, I'm content being the only smart person here. Niece is like, well, how did you get to the arena, Corbs? And he's like, oh, I had to walk, you know, because I've been investing so much into this right now. I haven't really got loose change to like spare, so I'm having a save. Hey, do you have enough money for us to get home? And he's like, I guess. It's like, great, because you see, look at this one here. And Niece is like, that's one damn fine monkey. Yes, this is another monkey I have to own, but I have to save up for it, Niece. So I'm sort of rationing my spending right now, because this will blow. This will be the cheapest this will ever be ever again. You know, my friend who's got a hexagon profile picture, he told me on Twitter to get on this. Okay, and Niece is like, well, if it's gonna be so valuable, why doesn't he get on it? And he's like, shh, keep it on the down low. So Corbin is excited, you know. He's got a new lazy ape he needs to invest in. We then cut to Charlotte and the rest of the Queen's Court with Kevin Patrick backstage. And he's like, Charlotte, you know, last week you four had your first match together as a foursome. It didn't quite go as planned. And she's like, thank you, Kevin. I noticed. Is that all you came here to say? And he's like, no, I've actually got some important information to relay to you. Courtesy of Alexa Bliss. And she's like, really? What's Alexa got to say to me? And Kevin's like, well, first things first, you're going to want to stay behind tonight, because on Heat, the main event will be a 4-way tag team match with teams from both Raw and SmackDown participating. And the winning team will go on to next week's episode of Heat. Yes, we're pre-booking episodes of Heat now. That's how far we've come. So the winner of the main event of this week's of Heat will face Charlotte and Jordan in the main event of next week's Heat for the tag team titles. And Charlotte's like, okay, well, what about Unforgiven? And Kevin's like, well, that's all we need to pay you. You're not defending your championship at Unforgiven, Charlotte, because you are going one-on-one with Sasha Banks. And Charlotte's like, I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, you know, Sasha got the pinfall level because made Skylar tap last week, and she wants you at Unforgiven, and I guess Alexa signed off on it. And she's like, what? That makes no sense, you know, I'm a champion. I should be defending my title at Unforgiven, not facing Sasha, you know. But, you know, I've beaten Sasha so many times on pay-per-view in the past. Hell, what's one more? Great, and we're going to keep our titles on Heat next week. I guess they want me on the B show now to try and, you know, bump its ratings up. It's fine. I'll play. Holy shit. 81. This had no business being this good, considering everything else on the show so far has underperformed in ring-wise. This had no business being this good. But it is, of course, the full-strength, you know, quartet of the helpers, being Joe Gacy, Aziz, Wolf Gruber, and Ashley McPhee, who beat the mismatch alliance of Sami Zayn, Mr. Farali, Saray, and Manny Kuhn. Because Manny gets pinned by Joe Gacy with that rebound lariat. And all of a sudden, Joe Gacy picks up another win. He's rocking and rolling right now. 84 for Ali, 75 for Sami, 59 for both Saray and Manny, 56 for Ashling, 63 for Wolf and Aziz, and 67 for Joe Gacy. And yeah, a big win for the helpers, who remain undefeated, both as a unit and individually, here on Raw. And I guess Manny, you know, got too overexcited to score the victory and get that pendant back and get revenge for Dio, that he came up short in the end. And I guess Ali and Sami weren't as useful to the collective group. Because obviously they're better individually. You know, that's a former WWE champion. Well, 2 former world champions, actually. And the other 2 were Dio and Young Sensei. But, you know, they're not as good as a collective. And these 2 have only just sort of been able to start seeing eye to eye. Speaking of seeing eye to eye, DKE are in the catering. Hams has got her big old pile up. Her, 6 plates full. Morgan's got her 1 plate. And she's like, you know, Hammy, you may not have been involved in the victory last week, but, you know, being on the winning team felt good, you know. Hearing them announced, because we were announced as the winners of the match, you see. And that felt good. It felt like a dream come true. All that effort we've put in to form this friendship and rise up NXT all the way here to Raw. We finally felt rewarded. And Hams is like, I was rewarded with all this food. She's like, yeah, you sure were. And Sonia's like, ew. And then Legado over there. She's like, look, this is the little girl's table is over there, okay? And I didn't come here to hear about you, you know, gassing yourself up because you got 1 victory that you didn't even earn. You 2 just stood on the corner and watched Sasha win. So as far as I'm concerned, you still haven't proven yourself here on Raw. Whereas Raquel Rodriguez, you know, a dominant competitor in that ring, is fighting for airtime. While you 2 are here with your disgusting selves every single week since SummerSlam. And Morgan's like, well, you're talking a lot of shit for a woman with only 1 leg. And Cena's like, no, you trust me. My knee is nearly 100%. And as soon as it's 100%, me and Raquel will whoop both your asses. And then they go to leave. And she's like, actually, that's if Raquel even needs my help. And Raquel boots Hams, boots Morgan, and then through the catering table goes Morgan with the big 1-arm powerbomb. Hams' plates of food fly everywhere. And Raquel leaves Morgan laying in catering. Speaking of interesting, Grand Jury are backstage, and Edge, you know, he's got his head in his hands, and he goes, so, when this group formed, you know, we were the deliverers of our destiny, you know, we had destiny in our own hands. We were going to be the one to change the fate of this brand. And that was going to start at SummerSlam when I became the World Heavyweight Champion and we kept our Raw Tag Team Champions. Not only did I not win the championship at SummerSlam, but last week because of, you know, other people not being focused on the game, we lost the Raw Tag Team Championships. Now, it's not Randy's fault. You know, it's not Randy's fault that he got pinned by Humberto Carrillo. Because I know I didn't get pinned. You know, it was Randy that got pinned. But it's not his fault. Because with everything going on around ringside, who can blame him for being distracted? You know, that was Priest's job and the Vikings' job to keep that in check. And quite frankly, Sonya, you've been embarrassing the group lately. You won the championship and then you lost it a day later. Scarlett and Julia have been trying to step out on their own, spread their own wings. And they've been doing a good job. Priest and the Vikings, you look good standing on the outside and menacing. But something's got to change in this group. Something has to change. And then Randy stands up and he gets in Edge's face. He's like, you're right, Edge. Something does have to change. Luckily for you guys, I'll make that decision for you. And then Randy just walks out. And everyone's like, oh? And it's just like, Randy, where are you going? And then we just hear the door slam. And he's like, anyway, I've got a main event tonight. And we need to not screw that one up as well. We then get to the ring. Jimmy Smith's in the ring. He says, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Humberto Carrillo, Akira Tozawa, with Zergis and Xia Li, the Path of the Dragon. Big pop. You deserve it, Chance. They finally reached the pinnacle, you know, they're finally the top tag team here on Raw after starting out as a job team that I shoved together to, like, give them something to do before I probably inevitably cut them. Now here they are. 2 years later, on top of the world. They've just beaten Edge and Randy Orton. And I reckon Humberto would probably do the speaking here because I don't actually want Zergis to speak. And I reckon Humberto would do the best on the mic out of the other three. And he's like, Jimmy, it meant the whole world for us last week to finally prove that we belonged at the top of the Raw Tag Team division. But you know what they say. I've watched wrestling long enough and looked on at champions long enough to know this. It's not about winning the championship. It's one thing to capture the championship. It's another thing to keep a hold of it. And we are starting from where we came from and to where we are now. We want to prove that we belong after fighting our way to the top and give opportunity to other teams to do the same as us. So, like Mustafa Ali, we're going to be fighting champions. We're going to prove to everybody that we belong here as the Raw Tag Team Champions. And that starts tonight. If any team in the back wants a piece of us, they know where to find us. And then out come Undisputed. Kyle, Roddy, and Bobby. And Kyle's like, let me be the first to congratulate you guys, I'm from a similar mold as you. Like, none of us are the biggest guys, but we have that heart, that undying fight to win. And that took you to championship glory. That took me to championship glory. That took Bobby to championship glory. That took Roddy to championship glory. And what do you say, your first night as the champs. You want to be fighting champions. Take on the infamous era. 2 more guys just like you looking to prove their worth here on Raw for them Raw Tag Team Championships. And then we get the match. 85. This is why they won the fucking belts. Holy shit. Path of the Dragon win, of course. They're not dropping. I know I've done a lot of short reigns recently, but some of them have been out of my control. But Path of the Dragon are keeping them. Tozawa pins Bobby Fish with a big senton to make defense number 1 of the Raw Tag titles. 85 for Humberto, 79 for Tozawa, 80 for Roddy, and a 61 for Bobby Fish, the weak link. But yes, Path of the Dragon retain their Raw Tag Team Championships. And then Zergus and Zaya get in the ring after the match, when Omasa's music hits, and he comes out with Malcolm Bivens. It's like, let me be the second. If Kyle O'Reilly was the first, let me be the second to congratulate you boys. What an accomplishment. Akira Tozawa, Humberto Carrillo, nobody gave you guys a chance. And now you're the Raw Tag Team Champions. See, this is the kind of success story that I'm looking to create when I expand my wings as an advocate and a manager and a mouthpiece here on Raw. And of course, you've all met the 7'4" Colossus known as Omas. And of course, Zaya, baby girl, me and you, we could have had something special together, but you blew that. You ruined it all and you threw it away by staying with these guys. So now, if you don't want to join me, I guess you can be the first prey of the next Raw Women's Champion, the new Malcolm Bivens girl, Dewdrop. Out comes Dewdrop. Dewdrop. She's here. It's probably been long enough. It's been about a year longer than real life. It's probably time to bring her up now. And she seemed to fit the bill of I need a heel woman on Raw that Bivens could manage. And she seems to have fit the bill. Because he's already got Omos. And yeah, I guess it's the sort of ilk that he's going for powerhouses. Is Bivens. So I'll have to see who else his I guess, offer is up for. But anyway, the first match of Dewdrop on Raw gets a 38. That's fine. Because they're both unimportant. But it is Dewdrop who wins, obviously. In 5:15 with the Michinoku driver, apparently. 50 for Dewdrop, 45 for Xia Li. And yes, Dewdrop has arrived here on Raw. She will be the newest Malcolm Bivens client. I think it's a fine pairing. There are not a lot of options I had, actually, that I thought made sense, and Dewdrop of them I thought was the best combined mixture of makes sense for Bivens to manage them and is ready for the main roster. So here she is. After the match, Dewdrop continues to assault Xia Li. Like, keeps beating her up. And Bim's like, you teach her a lesson, Dewey. You teach her a lesson. And she beats her up. And then Zergus gets into the ring and, like, pulls her off Xia Li. And then he like, stares Dewdrop down. And she, like, backs away. And he's like, no, I've got no business with you. It's like, you might want to look behind you, though. And then Zergus, he turns around. And Omos is there staring him down. And these two big kaijus go face to face. And Zergus looks like he wants to back away, but he can't. He goes to try and kick Omos, but Omos catches his leg, chops him, and then hits that big double-arm clothesline, or double-handed chokeslam even, on Zergus, leaves him laying. And then Omos, arms in the air, Bivens one side of him, Dewdrop the other. And Bivens' empire is now expanding. And somebody has finally managed to quell the mighty dragon. And that man is Omos, another fellow kaiju. He then gets Alexa on the phone in her office. She's like, so you're saying is he's suspended. Okay. Because I just wanted to know, like, were you sure that he wasn't here? He wasn't. Okay, because I know him and Cody had that thing at SummerSlam, so I was like, okay, you don't want to talk about him anymore. Okay. Then we see Sasha just walk into frame, like, waiting for Alexa to get off the phone. It's like, okay, great. Well, I'll keep you updated, I guess. Okay, bye. She puts the phone down. Alexa's like, who are you talking to? She's like, none of your business. But if you must know, I'm on the quest to find out who ran down Cody Rhodes last week. And I was just talking to Adam Pearce because there's a certain somebody that appeared to have an issue with Cody back at SummerSlam. I want to check if that person was the culprit. And Sasha was like, well, is he? And she said, no, it wasn't him. Anyway, did you hear the big news? You're facing Charlotte again at SummerSlam, Unforgiven. It's like, yeah, I did hear. Like, saying, thanks, for actually, for once in your career, doing me a favor. And I was like, oh, don't mention it, Me and you, we go way back, you see. And Charlotte too, back in my day, when I was top of SmackDown, I was the SmackDown Women's Champion. You and Charlotte were going at it every single week. Of course you lost. And again. And lost again. But hey, maybe 6 years later, now's the time, Sasha. She's like, look, I see what you're doing here, Alexa. But, I got Charlotte Unforgiven. Well, next week I want another member of her crew. And she's like, well, consider it done, Sasha Banks. Against one member of the Queen's Court that isn't Charlotte next week. And she's like, again, that's a second favor you've done for me, Alexa, I don't like this. I don't like you being nice to me. It's like, oh, it's just gonna be a good boss, Now get out of my office before I change my mind. She's like, okay, sorry. Crypto Corbin. He's been gassing up his apes all day, and he's like, oh, okay, I've got to get my wallet, I've got to put more money into my crypto wallet. And he enters his locker room, and Ludwig's in there. And he's, like, looking through Corbin's phone. And he's like, excuse me, that's mine? And he's like, I know it's yours. He's like, I was just checking this monkey. And Corbin's like, it's called a lazy ape. And Ludwig's like, yes, so it is. Anyway, you say this thing is valuable. And Corbin's like, well, hell yeah it is, bro. It's worth, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars, look. And he shows Ludwig the stocks. And Ludwig just sits there rubbing his chin. Like he's wearing his turtleneck. He's rubbing his chin. He's like, that is very valuable, Corbin. It's like, yeah, now you see. Now you see why I'm so into this. And Ludwig is going, I must have it. And he's like, huh? Well, no, so obviously you got to bid on it. I'm not just giving this away, I can make a lot of money off this. And Ludwig looks at him, he goes, I will take it. You can give it to me, or I will take it by force. And Corbin's like, okay, bro, like, how are you going to get it out of my phone? A lot of people think screenshotting these things means that they then own it, but they don't, because this is encrypted, and you don't have this, and he pulls it out. It's like the fucking the signature of authenticity, of ownership, or whatever it is. It's like, hey, as long as I have this, it's mine. He puts it in his back pocket. And he goes, now give me my phone back. I've got more spending to do. And he goes, here's your phone, Corbin. And Corbin turns around to leave, and he's like, yeah. He goes to scroll the marketplace again when Ludwig swipes the ownership certificate of Corbin's Lazy Ape out of his back pocket. How tense. Oh! A random tag team match that I threw on this show to fill time just scored an 89 rating. Buddy Murphy and Dijakovic, the Bionic Breed, defeat Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits. Murphy pins Dawkins with a Murphy's Law. 82 for Ford, 77 for Dawkins, 71 for Dijakovic, and an 85 for Buddy Bloody Murphy. Alright, mate, I'm Bloody Murphy. I'm picking up a big win here in a banger match. So, Karrion Kross and the Cross Collar watching last week's attack when they came out and interrupted Cody, and Cody laid them all out. And he pauses the screen, he turns to the camera and goes, I know what you're all thinking. Alexa and you are all thinking that we had something to do with Cody getting run down. Now, as much as I would love to take credit for something so cool and something so awesome, unfortunately I cannot. You know me, I'd be bragging about something as badass as that. That's right up our street, that is, kid. But unfortunately, our alibis are clear. This time. But next time anybody's found with blood on their hands, you can expect it to be at the hands of the Karrion Kross cult. Doesn't even have to be anything personal. It just has to be because we're bored and we feel like massacring people. Now if you'll excuse me, we've got some things to do. So Karrion Kross cult don't even have to be investigated, if they did it, Karrion Kross would be bragging. He'd be shouting from the rooftops that he ran over a man. So, I actually believe them. Now, we get a special announcement graphic. Really, shoddily made. It says, and now a special announcement from Titus World Records founder, Titus O'Neil. Then we get him on some weird old film, some infomercial, and he goes, hi, I'm Titus O'Neil, founder of the hottest record label in WWE history, Titus World Records, and I'm happy to announce this super special announcement that will shake up the landscape of WWE forever. But first, I, as the owner of Titus World Records, couldn't do such an incredible feat alone. I had to put my musical genius brain with another musical genius that I know. Then the camera pans across and Mackie's there, she's like, hello! And she just stares at the camera smiling, just keeps on waiting, and Titus, from behind the camera, is like, state your name and where you're from. It's like, I'm Mackie, I'm from Japan. And he's like, no, musically. He goes, oh, Mackie from J-Flow. And Tyler's like, yes, excellent. And anyway, back to me. And the camera pans back across, and Tyler goes, well, it's with great happiness that I'm willing to share that Titus World Records and J-Flow, who are apparently their own independent record label, are happy to announce next week's special edition of Monday Night Raw. Titus World Records x J-Flow present Battle of the Bands. You think you're musically gifted and a member of the WWE Raw, SmackDown, or NXT roster? Well, come and show your stuff and join such hit stars such as Hit Bro, Rick Boogs, Elias, and of course me, Titus O'Neil, and my clients Slim Shanky and R-Truth, and the J-Flow, along with a whole lot more the winning team will be declared the greatest musical act in WWE and will receive quite a hefty cash bonus from our investor, Mr. C. Grimes. And he comes and goes, "It's me, Cameron Grimes, and I'm so happy to have my name and money put to such a great cause, you know, because this is going to change Raw forever. Hell, I ain't quite as good as musically gifted as any of these other people, so I'm not going to enter myself in, but I'm going to be watching, and the publicity and the rewards for winning this will take your credibility straight to the moon." Ty's like, "So join us next week on WWE Raw." And Aki's like, "Bye." So yes, it's finally time. J-Flow X Titus World Records presents Battle of the Bands, along with, you know, your normal episodes of Raw, like the matches and shit. But this will all be taking place backstage, and it will be a good ton because I've got a lot of musical artists on my roster. It's time to find out who really is the best of the best. But for those of you who aren't musically inclined, there is a normal WWE Raw show taking place alongside Battle of the Bands. And on it, we will see the official contract signing for the Raw Women's Championship match at Unforgiven. Bianca Belair and Nova Nebula signed the thing ahead of their clash for the belt at Unforgiven. Also, next week we heard announced Sasha Banks will take on a member of the Queen's Court that is not Charlotte, so either Lady Jordan, Princess Aaliyah, or Princess Skylar. One of those women will go one-on-one with Charlotte Flair. And then a big-time grudge match. Finn Balor. Finally, after the betrayal on the night after SummerSlam, I believe it was the night after SummerSlam. It was, yes. Will do battle with his former bodyguard and protege Ridge Holland in a big grudge match. Also following their backstage altercation and catering tonight, Raquel Rodriguez and Morgan Daniels will battle one-on-one on next week's show. And finally, 4 of Raw's top tag teams will face off in a 4-way tag team match, with the winning team going on to Unforgiven to face Path of the Dragon for the Raw Tag Team Championships. And speaking of Unforgiven, some big matches already announced for that show. 4 more added to the lineup here tonight. The first 6 years since their last encounter on pay-per-view, I believe. It's finally time to run it back. Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, one-on-one for nothing other than bragging rights at Unforgiven. And then he's fighting Ridge Holland next week, but at the pay-per-view, he's gonna try and chop the head off the big man. Gunther and Finn Balor collide in a singles match for the first time ever, I believe. And then, amid Joe Gacy's victories in recent weeks and Sami Zayn answering the call, it's official, a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship at Unforgiven. Mustafa Ali welcomes the challenge of both Joe Gacy and Sami Zayn. And finally, we saw them face off earlier on tonight, but they're going to collide at the pay-per-view. 2 big kaiju, this is a real-life kaiju fight here, as the Colossus Omos battles Zergus the Mighty. 82 rated main event. I actually don't think I'm going to have to cover this because I don't have too much to say about it. Sheamus wins. Sheamus wins for his team. He pins Kofi with a bro kick in 20 minutes 3 seconds. 81 for Sheamus, 86 for Drew, 79 for Edge, 85 for Woods, 78 for Kofi, and 85 for Big E. I'd probably have Edge be taken out on the outside, big ending or something on the outside, and then Sheamus bro kicks Kofi to win. And then after the match, Sheamus is celebrating. He's like, "Oh fella, I'm the goddamn man. I'm the best." And Drew gets to the ring. He's like, "You know, Sheamus, good job." And shakes his hand. And Sheamus is like, "Oh fella, you know, made the best man win Unforgiven and all that." And Drew's like, "Hell yeah." And then bang, Sheamus drops Drew McIntyre. Bro kick. Drew's down. And he's like, "Listen here, fella. You want to get in my business, you know? This didn't concern you. You should have just left me well enough alone at SummerSlam. Because this is none of your business, but now it is. Now you're sticking your nose where it ain't wanted." And Unforgiven, I'll kick your head off, just like I'll kick off Big E's head and Edge's head, and become the new World Heavyweight Champion, fella. 86, banger show. You know, a lot of things planted for the long haul here, you know. We're, I guess, slightly closer to solving the Cody... we know who it's not. We know it's not Tyler Breeze, William Regal, or the Karrion Kross cult. Or, apparently, you know, that other person whose name I shall not say from SmackDown. Because Alexa Rank Pierce, because he's also a heavy culprit. But, you know, speaking of heat, that's what the person who attacked Cody will have a lot of. It's also the name of the all-women show coming up now. Heat kicks off with a nice match. Shida wasn't on Raw this week, so she's going to kick off Heat here with a nice win over Dani Luna. She beats her in 9:53 with the Majo no Ichigeki. 80 for Shida, 56 for Dani Luna. 75 for the match, that's pretty good, you know? Then have a 68 rated match here. Naomi and B-Fab had an interaction on SmackDown like a week or so ago, so I thought I'd test the team out, and apparently they've got zero chemistry, so that's not going to be a thing. But Julia and Scarlett pick up a win, fresh off their loss on Raw. They go 1-for-1 tonight, because Scarlett pins B-Fab with the Bedazzler. 27 for B-Fab, 55 for Naomi, 70 for Scarlett, and a 77 for Julia. And yeah, 66 rated match here. Wendy Chu and Indy Hartwell have great chemistry. Indy beats Wendy 7:44 with no finisher name. 71 for Indy Hartwell, 50 for Wendy Chu, and a 66 for the match. And then up next is the main event with championship implications, you know. I think it's Smile and Shine, Toxic Attraction, Maki and Marika of J-Flow, and is it Kaden and Katana? All in a 4-way for the right to challenge Charlotte and Jordan for the tag titles on next week's Heat. The match gets a 70, and I don't know if it did an upset or not. I don't know who people thought was going to win, but it is the J-Flow duo, Maki and Marika, who scored the win. They defeat Toxic Attraction, Katana and Kaden, and Smile and Shine. Maki pins JC with the big head. 80 for Tegan, who carried this whole thing, so credit to her. 66 for Kylie, 54 for JC, 65 for Gigi, 46 for Kaden, 65 for Katana, 57 for Marika, and a 67 for Maki. And then the show goes off the air with the Queen and the right-hand woman, I guess, against facing enough with all 5 members of J-Flow, because of course they do Freebird, so any combination could challenge Charlotte and Jordan next week. So that's a lot of potential matchups to prepare for in your head, you know. They do have that going for them. But it's been a while since they've challenged for the gold. But now they've got the chance to in the main event of Heat next week. 72 rated show? That's fine for Heat. It doesn't matter what Heat gets. What does matter is what you thought of the show. Both Heat, I guess, and Raw mainly. So do let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for SmackDown, where we'll have a big 4-way main event to determine the next challenger for Roman Reigns after the controversial ending to last week's show. See you then.